if you were on the scene and you were powerful, like, to be honest, like, if you're not in those files, it would be an insult, because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
She wrote, "Your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god." Epstein was possibly about to cooperate with the feds right before he died.
Epstein was possibly about to cooperate with the feds right before he died.
Now, Oprah is limited in the context of the files, but there is clear collusion between Oprah and Jeffrey Epstein.
The Department of Justice released more than 3,000 documents tied to Jeffrey Epstein. Oprah's name appears multiple times in contact lists and correspondence, which has fueled online speculation about how well they actually knew each other. Photos and emails have only added to the questions. In this video, we're examining the Epstein files to see whether Oprah is truly connected to any of it. Her name shows up across court filings, emails, and testimony summaries. Being mentioned does not mean guilt, but critics argue it's notable given the long-running rumors online. Some believe high-profile friendships may have helped Epstein maintain social credibility. Emails suggest he hoped to repair his image through media connections, including people with major platforms like Oprah, though some claim certain emails may not be authentic. To understand the timeline, we go back to 2007, when Oprah launched the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for girls in South Africa. Years later, the school faced a serious abuse scandal involving a staff member, which critics say damaged her humanitarian image. More than 15 girls reported mistreatment by a dorm matron accused of physical and sexual abuse. Oprah said she was devastated and shaken. The accused pleaded not guilty to multiple charges. Meanwhile, a former headmistress sued Oprah for defamation, claiming her public comments implied knowledge of the abuse.
I was, needless to say, devastated and really shaken to my core.
A tweet about Oprah's alleged connection to Epstein reads, "Epstein documents revealed that a woman stated on record that Epstein offered her money to birth babies for black market use." The email also mentions John of God, who has ties to Oprah, who was sent to prison for keeping women and children in an underground lair where he would abuse them for years and force them to birth babies for organ harvesting and black market purchases. He would then eliminate the women and children when they were no longer useful or could produce children. This was one sick monster who deserves more than prison and the most severe punishment possible. These claims are extreme, but they have circulated widely online. Some commentators allege that certain elites engage in disturbing practices, though such accusations remain unproven. Peter Nygard, once a guest on Oprah's show, was later charged with serious crimes, which further fueled conspiracy discussions about powerful circles in entertainment.
You can get paid a lot more than that.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500, but you know, I'm prepared to outbid him anyway. Whatever I bid, he's going to outbid me. I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs. Yeah. If you have abortion, that's very valuable. You know, umbilical cord, you know, and placenta, you know, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. Yeah. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured as recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody, you know. It's life for
George R. Bush.
No, the best eggs are 16 to 18 years old. Those are the best eggs.
16 to 18-year-olds.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So you may not be our top candidate.
No, that's fine. I think that was my business anyway.
There are also claims about the use of stem cells and blood in elite circles. After news about Epstein broke, Nicki Minaj didn't name anyone directly, but some believe her words pointed toward the same elite networks repeatedly appearing in Epstein-related discussions.
Here's what Nicki Minaj had to say. She wrote, "Your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up." And yeah, she's not the first person in Hollywood to say that. I just don't know how much could be in our face anymore before we wake up and realize these people are ruling over us and they win when we're fighting with each other. That's just reality. I really don't see how you can have a ton of success in Hollywood and not be in the club, because Hollywood was founded upon this. I just don't really care what you call me. It's time for everyone to wake up.
Everything comes back to one question. What was Epstein doing with the children he was accused of exploiting? Some victims testified that he spoke about using his New Mexico ranch as a base where women would be inseminated to bear his children. A statement claimed he wanted up to 20 women at a time pregnant at his 33,000 square foot Zorro ranch near Santa Fe. According to reports, Epstein was obsessed with eugenics and the idea of breeding his own lineage. He openly discussed genetic engineering and designer babies with scientists and academics during private dinners and meetings.
In the Epstein files, it literally shows emails that Jeffrey Epstein was creating designer babies. I really want to know why we haven't heard the DOJ talk about this, especially since some of the survivors said that this happened to them in Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico property, Zorro Ranch. How I found out that he was working with another person to create these designer babies is because I saw him ordering a lot of 23andMe kits, and he was sending them to a lot of different people as gifts. In this email, he was sending some to Woody Allen and his adopted daughter at one point in time, who is now his wife. And I started to see a lot of emails in the Epstein files of people saying that they were pregnant to Jeffrey Epstein, or even alluding that he had actual children. Like this email in 2011 to Jeffrey Epstein, and it appears to be from Sarah Ferguson. And it said, "You have disappeared. I didn't even know you were having a baby. It's so crystal clear to me that you were only friends with me to get to Andrew, and that really hurt me deeply, more than you will know. Congratulations on your baby boy." And this email in 2006 from Glenn Dubin to Jeffrey Epstein. "I get pictures of you flying over Mount Fiji, and I have to find out from Benghazi that you have twin babies. Eva and I are so excited for you. Please send pictures ASAP." And Glenn Dubin says, "Test tube babies, just thinking." Started looking up the term babies in the Epstein files, and this is when I came across this. It was titled Designer Babies in August of 2018, and he has it on like an agenda. Then I found this email, and it's from Brian Bishop to Jeffrey Epstein, and it's Designer Babies / Brian Bishop. So I looked up who Brian Bishop was, because I was like, why are they saying designer babies? And it says, Brian Bishop is a software engineer and a biohacker who gained attention for his attempts to fund and advance a do-it-yourself, or DIY, designer baby project using Bitcoin. His project aimed to utilize the CRISPR gene editing technology to engineer human embryos for enhanced traits, such as increased muscle mass or improved memory. And this is the next email I found about designer babies, and it's from Brian Bishop to Jeffrey Epstein, and it says, "Here is a deck about my designer baby project. I have talked with Austin again, and we have a series of questions about how serious you are about wanting this, and what are the ground rules for me even exploring this with you and getting to next steps."
Disturbing allegations surrounded Epstein's island. After his 2006 arrest, he attempted to rebuild his image by funding charities, academic programs, and scientific initiatives. Universities and nonprofits accepted his donations despite his status as a registered offender. But philanthropy alone wasn't enough. He reportedly sought respected public figures to help legitimize him.
Let's talk about Oprah. Now, Oprah is limited in the context of the files, but there is clear collusion between Oprah and Jeffrey Epstein. What do you mean? Well, Sarah Ferguson, yes, the Duchess of York, she is involved with Epstein, and she is involved with Oprah. Let's talk about this specifically. Sarah sent Epstein an email saying, "I want to make sure you're aware I'm going on Oprah tomorrow, and she is going to ask me about my debts, the entrapment of last year, and the press about you in January." It'll be quick and at the top of the show, all of 10 seconds, a very small piece. However, I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of this and seek your advice on how you want me to answer. It will be a tiny piece. This is straight up collusion. This is Oprah passing through a message to Epstein. And you know what? Jeffrey responded to Sarah with the answer that he was supposed to give. Jeffrey was unfairly characterized as a pedophile by the tabloid press. Many years ago, Jeffrey pleaded guilty to soliciting underage prostitutes. He paid his debt to society and has sought forgiveness. I have nothing more to say. This was in 2011. This is clear collusion between Oprah, Sarah, and Jeffrey.
Oprah has previously associated with figures later exposed for misconduct, including Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, and others. Critics argue that repeated connections to controversial figures raise questions. Weinstein, for example, was publicly defended and widely celebrated for years before facing consequences.
Oprah publicly supported victims of sexual assault in the wake of numerous allegations against Harvey Weinstein. Singer Seal Instagrammed this meme, showing Winfrey kissing the disgraced mogul. It reads, "When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution."
Please welcome Seal!
The 54-year-old who's appeared on Oprah's show captioned his post, "Oh, I forgot. That's right. You'd heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serially assaulting young starry-eyed actresses. My bad." While Weinstein maintains his innocence, Seal hasn't commented further, and Oprah has not responded.
This moment is a really powerful time for everybody to get woke.
Fans have come to her defense, pointing out Winfrey is a sexual survivor. They also posted pics of Seal's ex, Heidi Klum, kissing Weinstein too.
Some critics say Hollywood protects insiders as long as money is flowing. They claim silence is often rewarded, and that powerful people maintain control through influence and opportunity. Dave Chappelle once walked away from a major deal, saying he didn't trust the system. At the time, he was mocked. Today, some wonder whether he saw deeper issues within the industry's power structure.
It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14, and I've heard the stories of what happens, and I've seen these kinds of things play out in front of me.
Okay.
When
you say you heard the stories, what do you mean? What stories?
I mean, you see before, look, Mariah Carey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Martin Lawrence punches through and he's waving a gun on the street screaming, "They're trying to me."
Yeah, we hear those stories.
And it always happens around the time of their career where it seems as though they're crossing over the next plateau.
Yeah. Would you say you lost your mind, sort of?
No. Not exactly.
Okay.
I wasn't crazy, but it's incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
And I felt like in a lot of instances, I was deliberately being put through stress. And they do what's called a salt trap. I didn't know this. Apparently baboons love salt.
Okay.
So they put a lump of salt in a hole, and they wait for the baboon. The baboon comes, sticks his hand in the hole, grabs the salt makes his hand bigger, and he's trapped. He can't get his hand out. Now, if he's smart, all he does is let go of the salt. Baboon doesn't want to let go of the salt. Then the bushman just comes, takes the baboon, throws him in the cage, and gives him all the salt he wants. And then the baboon gets thirsty. The bushman lets him out the cage. The first place the baboon runs to is water. Bushman follows him, and they both drink to their fill. And in that analogy, I felt like the baboon. But I was smart enough to let go of the salt.
The list of Epstein's connections continues to grow. Presidents, tech CEOs, billionaires, and even royalty have resurfaced in newly released documents. Names once dismissed as coincidences are now appearing alongside documented meetings and timelines, bringing renewed scrutiny.
And the chairman of a prominent law firm is stepping down over his association with Jeffrey Epstein. Paul Weiss law chair Brad Karp says in a statement, quote, "Recent reporting has created a distraction and has placed a focus on me that's not in the best interest of the firm." The firm says Karp will remain with the firm, just in a different role. Senior Washington reporter Will Staken is here for more. Hi, Will. So what's the latest on this growing list of prominent people facing scrutiny over the Epstein files?
Yeah, Diane, well I think, Mr. Karp right here is kind of the latest fallout from these Epstein files. Like you said, the really powerful law firm Paul Weiss announced that Mr. Karp would be stepping down after his name appeared in these files. Now, the law firm did not give a reason why Mr. Karp is stepping down, and previously the law firm denied Mr. Karp had any wrongdoing, but with this release of these files, his name appears in the files, mostly with his assistant trying to schedule meetings with Mr. Epstein. But there's an email between Mr. Karp and Epstein where he's asking about if he could help, get his son some kind of job in an upcoming Woody Allen film. So I think these emails, obviously are continuing to have fallout across, widespread industries. It's kind of the latest fallout here. We saw recently that popular wellness influencer Peta Attia also stepped down from his role at the protein company David.
One of the most discussed names is Bill Gates. His documented relationship with Epstein began around 2011 after Epstein's conviction. They met several times for private dinners and discussions in New York, raising questions about judgment and association.
We've known his name before. There are more unsettling allegations surrounding Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. Yep, came out as part of the release. It was revealed that back in 2013, Epstein allegedly claimed that Gates was looking to get medication to treat an STD because of having sex with Russian girls. Keyword Russian. We'll get back to that. Yeah, apparently Epstein had penned this draft email on behalf of a Gates advisor who wanted to maybe leave the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So Epstein seemingly wrote in this guy's voice, "In my role as his right hand, I had been asked on multiple occasions and in hindsight wrongly acquiesced into participating in things that have ranged from the morally inappropriate to the ethically unsound, and had been repeatedly asked to do other things that get near and potentially over the line into the illegal. From helping Bill to get drugs in order to deal with consequences of with Russian girls, to facilitating his illicit trysts with married women, to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments. I feel I owe it to my friends and future colleagues to admit a moral failure." So there was a spokesperson for Bill Gates who rejected the allegations, saying these claims are absolutely absurd and completely false.
Epstein's connections reached some of the most powerful men in the world. Legal documents allege Prince Andrew was involved in questionable situations connected to Epstein's properties. Although Andrew has denied wrongdoing, his association cost him royal duties and public standing. Some insiders reportedly viewed being on Epstein's social list as a sign of elite status.
He knew everybody that was very powerful. So, if you were on the scene and you were powerful, to be honest, if you're not in those files, it would be an insult, because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
Right, so the people who aren't in the files are losers.
Yes.
Okay. Are you in the files?
Well, of course I am, because it's any journalist that wrote about it.
That's an astonishing attitude, isn't it? You're the loser because you're not in this. I find that jaw-dropping.
This raises a bigger question. How was Epstein allowed into such powerful spaces for so long? Access at that level usually involves trusted intermediaries and institutions. Many now question whether powerful systems failed to investigate him aggressively enough.
Let me just get real and say,
if I gun to your head, what do you think your best assessment of what Epstein, who was Epstein, who was he working for?
Well, I don't know, right? So I'm just guessing. Everybody wants to say he was working for the Mossad. He very well could have been. He could have been working for the CIA. He could have been a guy who was on his own, but also working with them, right? Like a guy that they used, but they never fully endorsed.
Like an asset.
Yeah. And a guy who could move money around.
Right.
He definitely...
good at laundering money.
The moving money around stuff was very weird because he had money through no way that anybody could ever explain.
Yeah.
He had an enormous amount of money through no way that nobody could ever explain. Which, if you're state-funded, you're funded by Israel, and Israel's funded by America, and, there's also NGOs and nonprofits, and there's ways to move money around where you can give this guy money.
Yeah.
So he was like Weinstein, who is an economist, right? Weinstein's a legitimate mathematician.
Eric?
Yeah. So when Eric met him, his first inclination was he was a fraud.
He's a construct.
Yeah, a construct. And did he tell you the whole story about the girl sitting on his lap?
Yep.
So Epstein, while he's meeting with Eric Weinstein for the first time, has a beautiful girl sitting on his lap, and a woman, I shouldn't say girl. He said she was in her 20s, and she's sitting on his lap, and he's bouncing around, so her tits are juggling around.
While he's asking math questions.
Yeah, talking serious. So he was obviously nerd fishing.
There have been reports and speculation about whether Epstein cooperated with authorities, but no confirmed agreement has ever been publicly released. Recently surfaced documents suggest that shortly before his death, Epstein may have agreed to cooperate and reveal the names of those he worked with. Officially, his death was ruled a suicide. Yet many details continue to raise questions: malfunctioning cameras, guards who allegedly fell asleep, injuries to his neck, and the fact that he supposedly possessed information that could implicate billionaires, politicians, royalty, and intelligence-linked figures. And here is the part no one likes to say out loud. If Epstein was even beginning to name names, that would have given some of the most powerful people on the planet a direct incentive to ensure he never testified. To be clear, there is no publicly released list, no fully confirmed cooperation agreement, and no official statement acknowledging that Epstein formally became an informant before his death. According to an FBI record, Epstein was possibly about to cooperate with federal authorities right before he died. On July 29th, 2019, his lawyers and federal prosecutors discussed, in very general terms, the possibility of resolving the case and the possibility of cooperation. Cooperation was a key topic. Defense counsel did not present a specific proposal, nor did they clarify the nature of any potential cooperation. However, they were encouraged to contact the Southern District of New York if Epstein was prepared to accept responsibility for his conduct or had a concrete proposal for resolving the case. So, it appears that negotiations may have been underway. Then, suddenly he was dead. This was a man with deep connections to the rich and powerful. A man who may have held damaging information. And then, unexpectedly, he died. We are told to trust the headlines, to trust the official conclusions, to believe that justice was served. But if that were true, why does this story still feel unfinished? Why are there so many names, so many documents, and so little accountability? Maybe Epstein was just one man, or maybe he was a middleman, a hub liability who knew too much, and that possibility continues to haunt this case.